Hello everyone, this is Veronica Buzzing with V. Welcome to another video. With today's video is the promised free SVG file. This file is a jukebox and these are the pieces we're going to begin with. This is part one. So this is the shell of the jukebox and I'm using Recollections cardstock, and this is an intermediate file project, so you will need some practice if you're a beginner, so I would recommend using some cardstock that you don't mind messing up with. So you are gonna need to do several trials of this because it is that intermediate and it will challenge you. Moving on, I'm using hot glue for this, and you are able to use some liquid glue. I will show you a picture of liquid glue here. I love hot glue because I can reactivate the glue with my heat tool in order to salvage my piece. Starting off with the top panel, you're going to need to glue it to the back piece of the jukebox, and start off with gluing just 2 tabs and then move on to 2 more and so forth. As you can see here, I'm gluing 2 more tabs and I'm going to leave the last 2 tabs unglued, and you will see why later. So I'm going to go ahead and start on the other side. Continuing with that pattern, gluing 2 tabs, leaving the last 2 tabs unglued, and it's best to go slow and steady, that way you can get this right the first time. Moving on with the side panel, I just put it on the side there, just looking to see what is happening, where I'm going to glue, and what my next step will be. Start with folding down the tabs. This side panel is made longer. Reason being is I wanted it longer to leave room for error, and we will cut down 2 tabs . So you see the right hand side is longer than the left. So I go ahead and cut that, just 1 tab, cut that off. And now they're symmetrical. Well, a little bit. I just eyeballed it, so it'll work out in the end, you'll see. So glue your side panel to the back of the jukebox, and you're going to start from the bottom up. And again, just start with 4 tabs, if you can 2. I did 4 here. So glue 3 more tabs. And again, like we did with the top panel, we're going to leave the last 2 or 3 unglued. Now I'm just checking to see where the top and the side panel will meet. I add glue because this is what I like and this is where I want it to be. You want it flush to the back panel of the jukebox. Now glue the top panel down to the side panel. You're going to have 2 tabs that are not glued. So we're going to glue it from the inside. So I'm lifting the 2 tabs up, adding some hot glue, and then going to press it down with my finger. So I'm happy with this. Now let's start with the right hand side of the jukebox. Do the same. Fold your tabs down. Check and see how long the side panel is and how much you need to cut off. Well, I'm going to glue it first, then cut it. Again, start from the bottom up and make the bottom flush with the bottom part of the back of the jukebox. That's very important. In order for your jukebox to close properly, those need to be glued properly. So here, instead of gluing the tabs, I went ahead and glued the back panel of the jukebox, which also works. I made a mistake, but I noticed after I cut the two tab links, and there it is right there. I will point it out to you. I did glue it a little bit off center at the very top. That is not fine. We need to make that right. Here's my heat tool. And I'm just reactivating the glue so I could move it to where I need it to be. So right here is where I move it. The glue is still active, so I just press down and re-glue that there. You don't need extra glue for this when you do this. That's what I love about hot glue, is that you can reactivate it, pull pieces apart, re-glue your pieces. So now glue down the top panel to the side panel. Again, like the left side, you will have 2 or 3 tabs that are not glued down, and we do that from the inside by lifting them up and gluing them down. So it's coming together. As you can see, it is coming together. I did make a mistake there. I don't like that peeking out. So I'm going to fix it by reactivating the glue. And moving it to where I need it to be. So there it is. I'm happy with it. It isn't perfect, and you will not get a perfect box. These are very hard SVG projects to do. There's so much pieces to them. Now we're going to start with the shadow box. Now this is where the challenge begins, because gluing that shadow box down to your jukebox is where the challenge is. So let's go ahead and make the shadow box. Here you have this long piece. This piece is for the side and top of your shadow box. It is the same size as the top panel of your jukebox. So you'll have 2 in the SVG files. So when you see that, it's not an error. So I'm starting with the gluing 2 tabs at first, and gluing starting with the left side of the shadow box. So again, slow and steady. This, don't worry about making any errors. It doesn't have to be perfect, because it's going to be hidden in your jukebox. This piece will not come out whatsoever. It's going to be glued down. So I made it permanent. Again, it is longer than the front of the shadow box. So I do cut, I believe, 1 panel length. Yes, I do. And then later I will cut a snip of that again, because it is a little bit, it's a smidge longer. It's all set. I'm just gluing down that last tab. Now we're going to glue the sides down. Okay, I did glue the back to the bottom tab. Don't do that. We're going to do that last. So glue the sides down first. It's time to add some lining to the inside of the shadow box. I chose this pattern paper from Sweet Stories, I believe. Yes. And also some Recollections cardstock in the color, I believe, fuchsia. And that is going to be my lining for the inside. So go ahead and glue that down. I'm using score tape. You can use any type of glue you prefer. This is the fun part where we get to decorate the shadow box. I do not show that part. Wanted to keep this tutorial sweet and simple, very easy to follow. And reason being is because it is already a challenge. I do use some glossy accents to glue my pieces inside of the shadow box. And I did use 2 bears from Hobby Lobby. I did haul those, I believe. I will have that video linked below so you can see it up close. Okay, let's go ahead and glue the front of the jukebox down. Start again with the bottom and work your way up. It doesn't matter which side you start with. I started with the left-hand side and I glued down about 2 tabs and I moved on to the right side, did the same. This part's going to go very quick. And just take your time, you guys. This is going to be challenging as well, this part. Gluing down the shadow box with some hot glue and adding that box down. So when gluing it down, if you can, try to keep the shadow box symmetrical to the front opening of your jukebox. And that's why we don't add the acetate prior to gluing down the shadow box, because you need to put your fingers inside that shadow box in order to move it around and position it properly. Again, if you make a mistake, just reactivate your hot glue and glue it down again. So it's that easy. I did add score tape to the acetate on both sides because we're going to glue it down to the shadow box. Then we're going to glue it down to the front cover of your jukebox. So again, take your time, you guys. I can't stress that enough. So adding some glue to the left side of the panel there, or the tabs. I do mess up again, so I just grab my heat tool and reactivate that glue and reposition that panel. It was just a little bit too high and I needed it to come down just slightly so the front could be positioned properly and all the tabs could be hidden. The tabs were kind of peeking out. I didn't like that. One thing I want to mention is that we do not remove the score tape from the acetate just yet. So keep it there. I do that because we need to glue that down and make sure that it is not peeking out from the front opening. And so we do that later, and we will do that with some tweezers. I'm just gluing down the top panel to the front. adding some more glue on the tabs. So this is it, you guys. We are done with the box. This is the bones of the jukebox, and it turned out great, you guys. We did it. So now let's remove the score tape. Get some tweezers and remove that score tape. Take your time. Again, be careful. You do not want to rip the jukebox. The seams will come apart if you tug on it too much, so just be careful. Okay, we're just about done with part 1 of this jukebox. So the file will contain just what you see here, and that is just the bones of the jukebox. So you'll get that and the shadow box, and that is it. So in part 2, you will get the lining for the outer portion of the jukebox, where we're able to decorate and alter however and make it beautiful how we want it and add our touch. So thank you so much for watching, you guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and let me know if you're having trouble. I'd be glad to help. Bye.